Hey everybody, Brian here with Drooling Moose Hideaway, and as it is Survival Sunday, I thought I would do our topic basically just on our emergency power, off-grid power, some things that what we're doing here, as well as a little bit of our plans for the future. Show you a few things we're using to make things here without grid power more tolerable and work well for us. So honestly, our needs aren't that much. The main things we need to do are run lights and charge cell phones and stuff like that. And so our main power right now is being provided by this generator. And this is a Sportsman. It's a 4,000 surge watt generator, and it is dual fuel, meaning gasoline or propane I can hook up onto it. It generally runs a little bit better with the propane, but it does give me the option of using gasoline, a little more portable that way than lugging that and the tank if I need to move it somewhere. And this thing does have hookups straight from the trailer. Right here, it's got an RV hookup here, 4 regular hookups, as well as a DC out. So we can you can put DC voltage straight to something. Works really well. It's pretty easy on propane and gas. It's a pretty efficient model. So that's our main power right now that we're using when we need to really run something like the heat lamps inside. Or if it's a cloudy day, we just have a lot of things that need charged up, something like that. So speaking of things that we charge up, as far as for light, so the trailer does have lights that run on DC and that run on a battery. Of course, those have to be charged. The battery has to be charged with the generator. It only lasts so long. And so what we did is we went ahead and got these lanterns, got them on Amazon, and the brand is AGP Tech. These AGP Tech solar lights they're pretty cheap. I don't remember the exact price on them. Of course, Amazon fluctuates a little bit. But they're an LED light. They're nice and bright. They have actually 2 settings. I believe they're $20 each. They have 2 brightness settings, a dim and a brighter. But what I like about these is the versatility of the charging. So you can plug them in. They have a port right here where you can plug them into a wall and charge them with AC. And this also is a crank handle. If you really need, you have any other way of charging it, you can crank it. Works pretty well. I mean, you will have to crank it quite a bit to get a full charge. But in a pinch, you know, we've a couple times forgot to charge them and need some light and just crank away at it. Works really well. It also has a battery compartment on the bottom for, I believe they're D batteries. Sorry, AA batteries. It's 3 AA batteries in there, which also with the LEDs will last quite a while. But what I like is they have a solar panel built right in on top. So during the day, we just take these and we set them out here outside, and by night they're charged up. I mean, it works really well for us. Usually, if we need, depending on how much we're using the lights during the evening and stuff like that, with it being summer and not having that much darkness, being light later. If I set it out here today, it charges up. Even if I forget to charge it tomorrow, it's going to have a pretty decent charge on it. The other thing I like is it is also an emergency backup power charging for cell phones. So if this thing is charged up off the solar or plugged in, whatever, it does have a USB port. So I can pop in a USB charger from the cell phone to charge the cell phone off of it as well. For 20 bucks, they work really well. Now, a couple things, they did have like a hanger on it with a handle and you could hang it up. Those broke off on, I think, all of them pretty quick. Within a couple weeks, they were all broken off. So that's one thing, but I mean, they work really well, and for 20 bucks, you can't really complain. I think we have 3 of those, and they get us by pretty good. It'd be nice to get some more in the future. So for charging phones, again, one of the big things we have to do is charge phones. Now, things like my commute to work and back, I have my phone plugged in, it charges pretty good. But if I want to charge a phone, I don't want to run my generator for an hour just to charge a cell phone. And so we got this. It's by Blitzwolf. It's a 15-watt backpack solar charger. They do have a larger version of this. This is a 2-cell model. And it opens up right there. You have 2 PV cells. And then right in this pocket here, you can plug in 2 cell phones or tablets or whatever you need to charge off of a USB. And this does pretty well. in full sun, it charges just about as fast as plugging it into the wall. And even on a cloudy day, you know, it will still give a pretty consistent charge. The nice thing about this is this model is weather and water resistant. So if you set it outside and it sprinkles on it or something like that, you forget to bring it in right away, it's all right. It does pretty good. The only thing we've had to worry about is some of the dry days. It got dusty and it's kind of coated in dust. It didn't work as well. You got to keep it kind of cleaned off a bit. But it is a backpacking model. It has these carabiners on the corners. And so if you were someone that does backpacking and stuff like that, want to be able to charge things on the go, you can hook this right to your backpack as you go. This has been a lifesaver. It does really, really well. When all we need to do is charge a cell phone during the day. You know, the lights charge themselves. You know, unless we have something heavy that we need to run on the generator, we don't want to run it, you know, just to charge a cell phone. So if you're off grid, or if you backpack, you camp, anything like that, or just want it in case of an emergency, for not very expensive. I think it was $40, something like that. 30, 40 bucks, and they do have like a 3-cell version. You can charge 4 devices on it. This charges 2. You really can't go wrong. I highly recommend this product. Again, we got it on Amazon. We'll include the links for these down there so you can check them out for yourself. Now, this summer got pretty hot on some days. Obviously, we don't have the power to be running air conditioning units. And we said, you know, it'd be nice just to be able to have a fan to be able to move some air through. And so we got this little fan by O2 Cool. It is a super high RPM. I don't remember the RPMs on it, but it was like the highest RPM battery-powered fan. It takes D batteries, I think 6 D batteries in it, which will run it for, let's see, we got this, oh man, I don't know how many weeks ago, at least a month ago, probably 6 weeks ago, we got this. Put one set of 6D batteries in it, and the batteries just ran down to where it's running really slow on us. Now, you can also plug it in, so when we do have the generator on and it's hot, you know, we'll plug it in and run it. It's also pretty good. You know, no batteries. It runs. I would highly suggest this as well. These are really good if you were camping. Again, off the grid. Works really well. I think it was about $15. Probably one of the best $15 we've spent here with some of these hot, humid days, be able to move some air. Because I'm one of those, I can't sleep when it's real hot. I have a hard time sleeping, and just be able to set that next to the bed there and run it a little bit. Or the kids got outside, they're running around, they get a little overheated, help them cool off. Works really well. I also want to show you these. And this, yes, we gave it a paint job because we want to be able to see it if it got dropped. Get these just little Cobra 2-way radios, Walmart. I mean, they're nothing super high powered, super high tech or fancy, but just being around here on the property, kids go play in the woods. We make sure they have one of these with them. They run off D batteries, or no, I'm sorry, AAAs. I mean, they run off AAA batteries, and they also have a charger, so you can charge them up. So when we run our generator, or we can plug them into the solar charger here or whatnot, we can charge these up. And then if that charge fails, the built-in battery charge fails, you can also pop a couple of AAA batteries in them. So that's a really nice option too. Again, if you're off grid, you have a property like ours where you might be in different parts of the property, you want to keep in contact, or in any sort of emergency situation, or camping, hiking, whatever. They work pretty good. They don't have a super long range, but I mean, across our property here, they work pretty good. So, I mean, I mentioned our generator here. Again, it is dual fuel as far as gasoline and propane. So I just wanted to go over a couple of options for propane tanks. I don't recommend the plastic propane tanks or plastic gas tanks. I mean, the plastic gas tanks that they sell now. They're supposed to be safer, but you talk to anyone that's used them, it's impossible to use them without spilling. And so that waste gas, you're spilling gas everywhere, and they just don't hold up. You're buying a new one like every year if you use them much. So a couple good options I like. I like things I buy, if I'm going to spend money on something, I want it to be the best quality I can afford. So there's a good old-fashioned. These are sort of the industrial style safety cans, so they're still real safe. It's heavy-duty metal, and you have to squeeze this handle to open the valve here. And also squeezing that handle pushes this up to let it vent so it can pour. These nozzles are great for pouring into pretty much anything. It's a really, really good option, even just for, you know, lawn tools, stuff like that. You know, they're pretty easy to carry around. I think this is 5 gallons on this one. And I don't know. I know I looked up and saw what they were running for on Amazon when I was looking for a gas tank before. I don't remember. I actually was fortunate enough to find one of these, someone giving it away for free. They had it out at the end of their driveway, just said free, come take it. And so we got that. The other I like is the good old-fashioned jerry can, military style jerry can. Now, a word of caution when you're buying these. You can go on Amazon, you can find them $20, $30, and they're pretty decent, but they're made in China or they're made in Japan. They're not the actual U.S. military issued ones. Now they're going to look just exactly the same. There's a few differences, and one way to tell is to look at the welds here. If you look at the welds on an actual U.S. military issue one, the welds are far better. This is one of the Chinese knockoffs, simply because the military issue ones are going for quite a bit. This one's held up okay. Works pretty well. These are nice. One reason I like these is because it's a very universal type of style with any military surplus gear that you have. A lot of aftermarket stuff for mounting on vehicles and stuff like that are made specifically for these size shape dimensions. And this one, I don't have it with me, but it even has a pour spout that goes on. The lid locks down really well on it, so it goes down, locks. You can hold this thing upside down, shake it around, throw it around, and it's not going to leak. So that's what I like these. These handles were designed, for some of you don't know, if you're carrying it by yourself, you carry it by the middle handle. But it's also, they made it, since we're talking about the military, you might be lugging a couple of these away. You have a handle on either side, so you and a buddy can carry them around. I believe these are 20 liters, 5 gallons, basically, of gas on that. Both of these are really good options. Even if you do get the Chinese knockoff, they're okay. They're pretty decent. They're probably not going to last maybe as long as the actual U.S. military issued ones, but they're not bad. They hold up pretty good. They're going to hold up way better than the plastic ones. You don't spill so much. And so this, last but not least, so this is one of our solar panels. We have 4 of these. I believe they're 140 watt solar panels. So we were fortunate enough to get these. Basically, they came with the trailer. When we bought the trailer, there were 4 of these, brand new, still in the box inside, which probably are worth almost as much as what we paid for the whole trailer. The reason we're not using them yet is there's a couple components that we still need to get. We need a charge controller and we need a large inverter, both of which aren't exactly cheap, but we're working on. So, and then of course a battery bank. Batteries aren't cheap either. So our plans for the future are to build up our battery bank. I mean, I have a couple batteries, but a decent sized battery bank, which we can expand on as we go. But making sure that we get a charge controller and an inverter that will go with our expansion, because those are 2, fairly expensive pieces of equipment. So I don't want to get small ones now, only to have to buy new ones again, larger ones later. I'd rather go with the larger ones now and grow into them. And honestly, I'm fine with what we have. As far as refrigeration, most RVs have propane refrigerators in them. So if you're in an RV, that's a great option. Ours, unfortunately, does not. The original propane refrigerator was taken out. We're guessing that it was not working, and there was an electric one installed. So right now, we don't have much for actual refrigeration other than a cooler with some ice, and we swap out ice bottles with a neighbor. That's what we're doing for now. And refrigeration in the winter, of course, is going to be quite a bit easier for us. But you know, getting these solar panels mounted and getting that solar system, that battery bank and everything up and running will be great, as well as making it more efficient for when we run our generator. That excess energy that's being created can be stored. So if we do need to start the generator just to charge our phones, we can also be putting energy into that battery bank and storing it. So that's the place we'd like to get. The big thing is having the inverter. Yes, I can plug battery into the camper here, but this camper being the old model, all that will pretty much run for us is our lights. And so we are making do with what we have. Honestly, it's I think Molly could tell you too that yeah, sometimes, you know, you're like, oh, it'd be really nice if I could just turn on an air conditioner or, you know, something like that, just plug my phone in and not have to worry about it. But honestly, day to day, you get used to it, and we hardly really notice or think about the fact that we don't have grid power. And it wasn't really our intention starting off to be off the grid. I was going to put in off-grid systems, mainly just as a self-sufficiency and backup thing, but still have grid power. And that will probably be necessary down the road, as I do plan on having quite a bit of a wood shop, machine shop, where off-grid power is just not going to cut it. Not without some sort of massive system. But, you know, we had a few weeks ago, the power went out around here. All the neighbors were talking about how the power was out. We had no idea till after the fact when people told us that the power had been out. Had no idea. Everything just went on life as usual around here. And that's kind of a nice feeling. Even though, yeah, we're not at a point right now where we can just use all the power we want whenever we want. You know, we are still limited, but we didn't even notice. So anyway, just wanted to give you a rundown. Again, we're going to put links to some of the things that we have that are Amazon products. The AGP Tech Lantern, the O2 Cool Fan, and the Blitzwolf solar charger. This thing is awesome. I plan on probably getting at least one more, a larger one in the future, because they're just great to have. I mean, I think everyone should have one. I think you're stupid not to have one, whether you're on grid or off grid. Anymore, cell phones mean communication, and communication can often mean survival. So, I mean, spend the $40 or whatever it is when you've got it. Get one of these, even if you stick it in a drawer somewhere. One day you'll be glad you did. So, if you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and go learn something, go do something, and get something done. Have a good one, guys.